Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of Basement Sports Talk. We got myself, Chris, Ty, and Damon. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the top 10 basketball recruits, where they're headed, and the implications of that, how the G League's affecting things, and how Blue Bloods are doing, getting their guys to their school. We're also going to talk about Kentucky basketball, their non-conference schedule, the idea of a round robin with Billy G, Tubby, and Rick. And then we're gonna talk about Kentucky's football schedule, particularly the non-conference, what we have years coming, and what we can expect out of that. So, Chris, start with you. How you been doing?
Not bad. First of all, I need to clarify some stuff out there to the listeners. One thing I didn't do well for this program is talk about all my affiliations in my bio. So when I use the terms "we" for the upcoming Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys, I've been a lifelong Cowboys fan. So I just want the listeners to understand that. I've also been a lifelong Braves fan, been tomahawk chopping since Dale Murphy and Bob Horner and Glenn Hubbard's been wearing out the Reds. And I'm also a Predators fan when it comes to the hockey. So I just want to make all those affiliations known before all those programs win their respective championships. So
you got a golfer? Who's your golfer?
Golfer, I don't, nobody.
We got to know now before they have the Masters coming up in December or something crazy. Who you can be going for?
What's the John Daly then? John Daly's going to win.
John Daly, his son's going to be golfing before he golfs on their big tournament.
John Daly will probably be the next Masters champion, and I guarantee he'll have a cigar or a cigarette in his mouth.
He might be at the Masters.
Yeah. No, but overall, had a pretty good day. Talking about the topics, I don't think I actually realized just how sprinkled out these top recruits in college basketball are this year. It's I know me and Damien's had some conversations. It's amazing, really. And I think it's actually going to help out Kentucky this year. We've seen over the last few years, some head scratchers with players going to Washington or going to Arizona State and stuff like that. But, you look at the the composite rankings of the top 10 kids. When you're talking about a blue blood, the first one that comes up is number 4, Terrence Clark. The other 3, you got Jalen Green at 3rd going G League, and then Mobley, Southern Cal, and then Cunningham, who we spend a lot of time on, is going to Oklahoma State, where his brother's the coach. So, this could play well into Kentucky's favor, but also could make a very watered down basketball season as well.
What composite score did you use? You use ESPN, Rivals?
I went 247.
247. Ty, like you said, this is a different year. I know you've done your research, but if I was just to candidly ask you, could you name me the top 5 recruits coming in, where they were going? Would you even be remotely? Could you get 4 out of 5 of those?
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, who would you see that we wouldn't get?
Well, I just mean in terms of just how spaced out this is. Usually you know Zion Williamson, you know where he's going to go. The John Walls, Eric Bledsoe's, the Cats, and those are Kentucky guys. But usually going into a year, those top 5 guys, you know where they're going, and they're going to be going to a blue blood or your Carolinas or Dukes, Kentucky's type. So just speaking on this year, is it surprising you, these top 5 guys, how spaced out they are and how they're not household names yet?
Right. As long as – this is my personal opinion, of course, but – as long as Kentucky, you still have Kentucky doing their thing, Kansas still doing theirs, North Carolina, Duke, the top dogs, Villanova and all them other teams. I don't really feel like people's going to pay too much attention to that. There's professional opportunities for some elite high school players every year will choose that path over college. The G League is definitely coming in a factor here. I think they'll be set. I think it'll get several players, and I think it'll eventually hurt us in the long run.
Damien, do you see you got the likes of Jalen Green, Nick's kid out of UCLA announced today is young in the G League. Do you think that is the issue with these blue bloods not getting their top guys, or do you think it's just the demographic of high school guys coming out that they're looking for different things?
I think it's a little bit of both, but honestly, I think this year's an outlier. 3 of the top 10 kids that are not going to traditional So, yeah, as far as this year, 3 of the top 10 kids have family members with connections to each university. And also, this year is just different. COVID-19 may play a role in things. Kids are seeming to be staying closer to home. But UK's got 2 of the top 10 players. I know we're all worried about recruiting. We probably do need a big man. But of all the years, I mean, we're still fine. We got the number 1 recruiting class overall. We'll probably bring in another kid, maybe a project kid, but that's okay. I mean, he's there 2 or 3 years. We develop him. We're still going to be elite. Just to show how crazy recruiting is this year, Memphis killed it last year. Penny came in, absolutely destroyed it. They have 1 kid signed this year. He's a 3-star. They've got a lot of kids coming back, but they lost their best 2 players, and they're not replacing it. I mean, that just goes to show you, Cal does it every year. He's still elite. He's still the best recruiter in the game. And North Carolina, Kansas, Duke combined for 0 top 10 kids this year. We've got 2. One of the kids, Terrence Clark, of course, G League was trying to get after him. Cal recruits the kids that he knows. He knows their background. He knows their family. He doesn't bring in issues. Since he's been in the UK, we've had 0 issues with recruits. Talent is always there. I always say in Cal, I trust. It's not going to change. The G League will nitpick some kids from all the top recruit classes, I guess. But Cal knows where these kids' mindset is. He's going to get the kids that come to Kentucky that want to be in college, maybe just for 1 year, but we'll take the elite every year.
Yeah. Do you think, Dad, you feel like with these kids going to these smaller schools, it's going to have a chance for teams like Kentucky, who are still getting the top 10 guys, to make up some room where they might be lacking with their Elite 8 finishes, and probably leap them into that Final Four consistently if these guys go in different schools?
I mean, it's possible, but you also may see, some of these not mid majors, but some of these programs you don't typically see do a lot of good that build on the 3- and 4-year guys. They may be able to make a run. And I think it's college basketball. I think now more than ever has got more parity than it's had, really, to be honest with you. When you look at some of the teams, I mean, Texas Tech, like making it to the championship game. I mean, they're a household that people know who they are, but I think that the sprinkling of major talent throughout the country is making for more parity. I do think, as Damien's alluded to, and Cal said this, Kentucky's going to eat first. And one thing I do have to give Cal props on, I'm I think minus 1 or 2 players that I can think of. There hasn't been major we got an issue here. We shouldn't have probably took this guy. He's a kid that's not going to represent the brand well or represent the university well. So that's one thing he does, I think, do well. He's so plugged into a lot of the people that he does his homework. He wants to make sure that the people he's getting are good kids. And I think he's even alluded to, though, if he goes into somebody's household and they're disrespectful or whatever the case may be, he's not going to recruit kids like that. And that's good for him.
No.
I was looking at the top recruiting there. I mean, you think the Cunningham kid, obviously you think 100% brother had an impact on that.
Yeah, definitely. With these guys, you have a family connection. I mean, you see it. It's hard to knock on them because, Brad came to UK, and he could have gone to Detroit Mercy from the start. But I think when you have that bloodline going through another school, it can definitely entice you to do it, especially if these kids are very self-confident. I think one thing we've learned with a lot of these guys, Ben Simmons kind of started when he went to LSU. These guys are self-confident. They have a slight tie to a college. They think that they can go to that college and make it work. Hasn't necessarily proven to be that successful, but then again, if our brother, our father, had strong ties to university, and we knew we were going to walk in and start and get our minutes regardless, it's kind of hard to turn that down to go to a school like Kentucky where you're going to be not the guy, just a guy, and you're not going to be getting the same amount of love from the university. You might be getting more love from the pros, not the university, but sometimes it's hard for those guys to look down the road. Damien, for you, one school that has been on my radar for the last 2 or 3 years in basketball is Florida State. And, they're in the ACC, so ACC, you got Duke and Carolina, so you think of Virginia. But Carolina was down this year. Obviously, they had injuries that really sidelined them. But I personally feel Roy Williams is on a he's on the downhill swing. And do you think, Florida State's got Scotty Barnes coming in? Do you think Florida State having these guys, they've been consistently good these last couple of years, do you think them getting a jump on recruiting on schools like North Carolina and Duke, that can help boost them up to that number 2, 3 consistently every year spot in the ACC?
Absolutely. I think Leonard Hamilton is actually a very good recruiter, but under I don't know, he's a better coach than what he gets credit for. This year they actually had a legit chance to be a Final Four team. The way things played out, of course, there was no NCAA tournament, but yeah, he's able to get Florida kids are staying closer to home now. He's getting elite talent. And like you said, Roy Williams is not the Roy Williams of 5 years ago. He's had some health issues. Coach K, Duke is still Duke. I get that. He's elite coach. However, he's late 70s. He's getting up there in age as well. And that's one thing. All the coaches that are on top of the game right now, they're older. I mean, we're about to see a totally different generation of coaches coming up. And Cal's been around a long time, but Cal's still relatively young as far as
compared to those guys.
Compared to those, exactly, yeah. Compared to guys he's competing with every year. So, I mean, that gives us an upper hand. And let's be real, Swaggy Cal is still Swaggy Cal. I mean, when he's got it going, he doesn't care to ruffle some feathers with the other coaches, and it plays well with the younger guys.
Yeah, Florida State excites me. I know I don't have any reason to dislike Florida State. They've never done anything to me or Kentucky, to my knowledge, that's really detrimental. So to see a program pop up in the ACC and someone that can take some of that shine away from Duke, North Carolina, Virginia, that fires me up, makes me more willing to watch ACC basketball. But I know there's a new guy on the block, especially a school like Florida State. So talking to BJ Boston, Terrence Clark coming in, what do you think the ceiling for those guys are, Deb?
Yeah, I think they're both lottery picks, honestly. You look at where they are, similar type size. Maybe I think Clark may be a little bit better off the dribble than Boston. Boston may be a little bit. They're almost identical. Both 6'6", 6'7", 180, 190, silky smooth players. But I think they're lottery level type players. I don't look for either one of them to have more than 1 year. But I'm really excited about both of them, honestly. I think it's probably the best backcourt we'll have since probably Monk Fox would be my guess. So I'm super, super excited about having both of them.
Yeah. This just kind of popped in my head, Damon. You were talking about how Cal hasn't had problems with recruits. Malik Monk, do you think his off-the-court issue, do you think that could have stemmed from Kentucky, or do you think that happened solely in the NBA? It's open to any of you guys.
I don't know. I mean, Cal's pretty open about things, but he always protects his kids, which the kids love that. He should. But I heard nothing out of any of those guys when they were on campus. I mean, they're not going to bash the kids, they're not going to throw them under the bus, but I personally think it's totally once he left. That's my hope. Maybe it's just me being a fan, but I just don't think Cal would put up with it. Sandy Bell definitely isn't going to tolerate it.
Top question for you: if say you're an NBA GM, you got a lottery pick for next season, and you have a guy like BJ Boston or Terrence Clark going to a school like Kentucky, they come in. Let's say they average, let's call it 14 points. 4 assists, 4 rebounds, how you want to slice it. And they lead Kentucky to Elite Eight, Final Four, championship level season. Are you taking a guy like that, or would you take a Jalen Green who goes to G League, plays in G League against G League, grown men, but still G League talent, and then a guy who averaged about 18-2? Who are you taking in that situation?
For me personally, I don't really know if it's where I'm a Cavs fan or not, but just with Calipari's talent that he's had go through the NBA, I would definitely keep my eye on those two guys. And, Calipari, he coaches, he gets the kids where they need to be, and then the NBA, so much success. And, I would put my faith in him, and I would probably go towards those guys in the longer run, to be honest with you.
Yeah, personally, I feel like these guys who go to G League, I think it's only going to work in their favor if that's like your Anthony Davis type recruit, your Karl Anthony Towns type recruit, a guy who we already know going into the season he's going to be number 1 overall draft pick. It's solidified, and especially when it's solidified in a draft class that has other good prospects. I mean, you look at one like this year's, it's so, like Damien said, it's an outlier. It's an odd year. So I'm really curious. I hope it works out for these guys who are going to the G League. Hopefully the money helps them out if they need the money, if it's for the money. But I still think the way to go is through a traditional college program. So go ahead.
Real quick, let me add to that. One thing that I just thought of that I don't know if some of these kids are thinking about, and obviously you can't, if Braxton, you come out of high school, somebody offers you $500,000 to go to the G League for a year, it would be tough to turn down. But one thing, that I think is you need to remember is some of these kids, when they get that money, how they act or decisions they make with that money may tell these GMs, this kid is probably somebody we don't need to spend a lot of money on the upcoming draft. So that's actually taking a risk for them. So what I mean by that is they get $500,000 and they spend $300,000 on vehicles. That may be a red flag to GMs in the NBA draft for the next season. So maybe, having kids in a college program where, coming up, they may be able to do some name likeness and stuff like that. But I just think Cal will insulate them enough to be able to put them on the right path. And where G League, my guess is they're going to expect you to be a pro from day one. They're not going to have somebody holding your feet to the fire. They're going to tell you, kind of like Brendan talked about in his interview, here's the hit time, be there. You're not going to
hold your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and speaking of the interview too, he's a minor league ball player, which is the G League of baseball. And he's talking about, like the opponents, their dugout and their suite, there's like dirt. It's not luxury. They're putting you on a bus. You're taking a bus and you're driving to Sioux Falls to play a basketball game. So you're getting paid that money, but you're getting treated, not the best as far as your accommodations. The more you go to Duke, Kentucky, and you're taking private jets everywhere you go, and pretty much your accommodations are almost equal to that of an NBA team as far as how much you're getting out of your scholarship time there. So moving on, looking at Kentucky's basketball's non-conference schedule, what would, as a season ticket holder, if you're a season ticket holder for Kentucky basketball, and I told you that out of conference, Kentucky gets to play Kansas, Georgia State, Georgia Tech, Cleveland State, Michigan, and UCLA. Would you be happy with that out of conference schedule? Would you be happy if I told you our out of conference schedule are those games that we're playing? Would you be happy at first glance?
As a season ticket holder, if I was a basketball season ticket holder, no, I don't think I'd be happy at all.
So you're telling me out of conference. I'm telling you out of conference for Kentucky basketball, you're playing Kansas, UCLA, Michigan, Cleveland State, Georgia Tech, and Georgia State. That's all I'm telling you is we're playing those games out of conference. You're not happy with that?
I think you're happy with the teams. But
and then you find out where you're located.
Home games are the issue.
Exactly, that's my point.
Neutral sites. But as a season ticket holder, you have to know what to expect. If this is not new, I personally like playing good competition. I'm not a season ticket holder. Louisville's every other year. The years that they're not at home, the schedule's kind of rough. Kind of weak at home, honestly. If the SEC is getting better, which helps everything, but if it's a bad season in the SEC, a bad schedule, the home schedule doesn't leave a lot to, be proud of, honestly.
Yeah, and that's my point is I feel like they're getting it right. Who they're scheduling out of conference, I think they're getting it right for the most part. They're scheduling good opponents. But then as a season ticket holder, you find out, well, wait, we're playing Michigan in another country. We're playing UCLA, Chicago, LA, wherever we're playing them. We're playing Kansas, wherever that site's at. Georgia Tech and Atlanta, I believe. You find out all of that, it takes away from it. I think, where Kentucky basketball's problem is, I don't know if it's just – I'm not a scheduling guy. I don't know how difficult it is, but we need to get that Kansas game, home and home. Get out of these 4-game tournaments and just get them home and homes against these guys.
So who do we have in the Big 12 SEC this year showdown?
I think it's to be determined.
It's not. It's probably going to either be
Baylor?
West Virginia or Texas, maybe Texas Tech again. But we're already scheduled to play Kansas, so it's not going to be Kansas twice.
I figured Baylor or something.
Baylor's. Yeah, it's going to be one of the top teams, obviously. That's just the way it works. But
yeah, I agree with you, Braxton. I mean, I think, like you said, home and home. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it.
I mean,
the only thing about that is if you get a chance to go out play, or if you're going to Madison Square Gardens or whatever, that's another recruiting tool.
Oh yeah.
You're going to Chicago, you go out west. Those, the West kids come see you.
Yeah.
That's a recruiting tool. I mean, that's why the elite are playing those tournaments. It's not because of the home and home. It's not a money issue, obviously, with the elite, but it's hard to turn down the opportunity to play North Carolina, regardless of where it's at, or Duke or Kansas.
I can't wait to see Billy G walk back in.
I did find it odd that, we didn't want to play in the Maui Classic or anything like that because it's too far away, but we're going to London. I thought that was kind of odd, but I mean, maybe London is closer as far as the flight. But, I understand why Cal does it. I think when he does these things, he's preparing them for the, Elite Eight runs, the Final Four runs. But eventually, season ticket sales is already down. They dropped the Rupp Arena by 6,000 seats. My guess is this year's season tickets will probably be increased just due to the loss of revenue from other stuff. So I mean, you're making a tough sale. But
I mean, honestly, season ticket holders to me personally is like people that live around the Lexington, Georgetown, Frankfurt area. Honestly, is within 20 minutes of Rupp. I mean, me personally is an hour. Man, if you work 8-10 hours a day, come home, bust butt and try to get back there to watch the game at 7 or 9 and then back home at, that puts you getting home at 11 at midnight. So I feel like you lose a lot of people on that. So I just wonder on how many actual season ticket holders go to every single game.
I'm going to say it's very slim.
I mean, the old retirees who are down low not clapping are probably your best bet when he's making it to every game.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you're getting season tickets. You're renewing every year or willing them to your kid or whatever for the big games. You sell all the other games. That's just the way it works. But it's not a UK problem. That's a college everything problem, football included. Look at your professional arenas. They're not full. I mean, it's a different time. Yeah. They're not building. If you're building a new arena, you're not building a 60,000 seat arena by any means.
No. Do you think we'll ever see a arena like, far as like the Duke, how it's set up?
I mean, I think that could be. They could train towards that. As far as capacity.
No, as far as like how it's set up with their students and stuff, they got that set up in like 5 rows high, whatever. We got 90-year-old people sitting down there,
Those 90-year-old people spend a lot of money, Ty.
That's why they're still going to sit there.
I know.
And honestly, I'm not defending the 90-year-olds. I mean, I know people give that reputation of Rupp Arena, but you look at the eruption zone and it's 30% capacity. Yeah. There's no reason to give the students more tickets.
Yeah,
I feel like they need to change seating around there. That's my personal opinion of it.
I went and sat in the eruption zone. We were playing Missouri when Michael Porter Jr. was on that team, and it was maxed out. Couldn't move, but I've never felt more disconnected from a game. It was cool to be in the eruption zone with the students. I enjoyed that, but as far as like game experience, I might as well be at half court in the upper arena, 3 rows up, watching it. It was odd to me how this is the pinnacle of college basketball, and the student section is.
So it wasn't a good vantage point at all.
No, I mean that's not the view. Isn't the issue, because I mean a lot of schools have their students in the end zone, but just as far as just like the overall student vibe, just even stupid stuff like chants, like what they're saying, like it just really disconnected. Yeah, it just you see, I mean, and look at Duke. Duke's probably the nerdiest school that's good at anything. Even those kids, they're doing crazy stuff, really getting into it. And like, I don't know if it's because we're spoiled or the type of kid that goes to Kentucky maybe doesn't care much about sports as poor guys talking about it on a Zoom call. But it's almost disheartening of a generation that's flowing through, and they're just like, and one thing, Ty, I don't know if you can test this. I know a lot of kids my age who claim to be Kentucky fans. They claim to be Kentucky fans, like you said, when they're playing Kansas, when they're playing Michigan State, and they're really only Kentucky fans after the game, after the clock hits 0 and we come up on top. That's when they start posting about it. That's when they're happy about it. And that's my generation's problem. You don't have as many diehards, and you don't have those kids who are watching the Tuesday at 9 o'clock against Indiana, like Evansville, or schools like that. You don't have that. But then after the game, they'll be like, "Oh, I can't believe that Ashton Hagans didn't show up for the, whatever."
That might be some of your upbringing.
Well, I mean, their upbringing must be lacking then if they don't care enough.
It's the same way, Braxton, with football. If it's 3rd and 1, we need 1 yard to get the first down. Why aren't the people beside you to your left and right not standing? That's what I don't get too.
Besides Vandy, I would say Kentucky has the worst student section in football, second to Vandy. Or Vandy's probably the only one below them.
That's awful.
Kentucky's student section at football is literally the most embarrassing thing about Kentucky football.
Thank you, Braxton.
I have been to several SEC venues, SEC East specifically, and Auburn. Okay, so I know you drop Alabama. They're the best, but whatever. Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina. Those schools, their students, and they don't – South Carolina is a good example. South Carolina is a school about equal to us as far as win-losses and what their expectations are. Their expectations are a little higher if they're a little skewed because of their past Steve Spurrier. Those South Carolina students go nuts, and they're there even if South Carolina is 500 and they're playing Greenville Tech. They're there. They're there tailgating at 8 in the morning. You can't find – one problem, Kentucky kids don't tailgate in the lots. They're over at the frat houses, sorority houses doing their own thing. Most of them get too drunk to show up. And then when they do show up, they're there till halftime, and it's scattered. Unless we're playing Florida, unless we keep the game close. Because as soon as that game's out of reach, they're gone. They're going to tin roof. It's over.
Yeah, but a lot of I will agree that our student section, especially in football, is very lacking. But one defense of them is those kids really don't have a tailgate spot to go to. When they redid the stadium, they kind of took away a lot of tailgating spots for. I mean, like we've both been to South Carolina, Braxton. They got those they got the trains.
Yeah, okay, yes. I mean, South Carolina, Auburn, they have better. I mean, Alabama's the sorority fraternity house is right across the street. I get that, but let's take that aside. Once they walk in to Kroger Field, the few that do walk into Kroger Field and get in the student section, it is embarrassing.
Let me ask you a question. Do you all think it could be because, and I hate to say this, over the last few years we have been, but do you think it's basic football knowledge? Do you think some of our students don't understand the game very well? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
They don't care. They just don't care.
It doesn't matter. They're there for a good time. And if they're not having a good time or if they're not entertained, they're not going back.
Don't get me wrong. I'm there for a good time too, but I'm there to see a win.
And one thing that I've noticed, this is going to sound childish, but when I've been to, Auburn, South Carolina, the music that they play, it's so much better than Kentucky's, the same rock song from 2005 that they keep on repeat, and then it's a party every kickoff.
Whoa.
It's your jam.
That's my jam there now. I get down with Grove Street.
I mean, mix it up.
All right.
Damien's right. They need a good time. We don't provide that.
Chris, it's also kind of telling. We're talking about student section, and you're the elder statesman, and you're into, it's a party. Kids Braxton's age and younger, that's spent, man.
Yeah, I've heard that too. But, I mean, those players, how long ago was that now? 5 years ago when they did that in South Carolina? It was against South Carolina, I think, too.
Yeah.
Was that like 5 years ago?
No, I'm not disputing that. It's not a good, paying homage to, it gets us in the mood. but it's overused, one, and we just need variety. And that also goes into just like how we get the students involved during the game, how they're treated, like what makes them want to stay. Damien's right. It's all about a good time, especially for those kids who don't really care or can't sit there and even tell you who the starting quarterback or your team is.
I've been going the last few years to the games and stuff, and I can tell, which is on a positive note, of like the students have been, getting a little bit better every year. So you think maybe if we get consecutive 10-win seasons, does that get us where we need to be?
Yeah, I think that'll help, but I think we do got some fans too that aren't invested all the way into the program.
So where does it start? Start up top?
I don't.
Winning helps everything, but you
Yeah.
still got to be entertained. I mean, people are going to football. Sports are for entertainment, and if you don't feel like you're getting your money's worth, another thing that doesn't really help UK, in my opinion, TV product is really good now, man. You can sit home on your couch, and it's really entertaining.
Yeah.
You can go to the basement and enjoy the game from the basement. Ty,
Right.
people are doing that.
And that's actually a good point. I mean, Ty's invested a lot of his hard-earned money on building a nice setup there because, when you got away games or he wants to do that type of deal, people are doing that more now because it is like Damien said, you got better TV packages and better TVs that brings you that ability to do stuff from your home that, when I was your all's age, maybe a little bit younger, Damien can attest to this. A lot of the Kentucky football games didn't come on until 11 o'clock at night.
Delay, that's right.
You either listened to it on the radio live or you stayed up till
Right.
11 o'clock on Channel 27 or Rob Bromley talked to you for the next 3 hours.
I'm going to say not very many people caught the 11 o'clock kickoff then.
The diehards did. I mean, because if you wanted to watch them, you had to stay up till 11 o'clock. That's also people from here like Michigan and stuff that were televised live, honestly.
Before we talk about their schedule, one more thing just about the experience. Do you think, Dad, this might give you a heart attack, but I want you to be objective.
I'll try.
Do you think at some point – okay, so I know Todd and Dad, we were there when we had Florida come in, the game we should have beaten, we couldn't cover wide receiver twice.
Yep.
That atmosphere was amazing. Can we all agree that atmosphere was amazing?
Yes.
See, that's the standard, though. Because that atmosphere right there, I saw the same atmosphere when Alabama played FAU 3 years ago at home at 12 o'clock. That was the same atmosphere. But it took us having a night game against a Florida team that we thought we could beat. So my question to you is, do we at some point just have to accept this is what we get at Kentucky football games? It's peaked. The only way we're going to get what we really want is if we're playing Florida at 7:30 on ESPN, and it's going to be a close game.
I don't think, first of all, that FAU game, who was the coach at FAU at the time?
It wasn't Lane.
Wasn't Lane? Okay. So that points out. But here's what I'm going to say.
It's farther than 3 years back.
That's fine. Irregardless, do I think we'll ever get to the level where, like, we're at Alabama or Auburn? No, we don't have that historical stuff. I think what's bad is, though, it takes a Florida, night game to get our fans into it. I don't get it. Like, compared to where we're at with Coach Stoops now, when we look back historically, we're doing stuff that we haven't done year in and year out. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm biased, as all you all know. I'm a diehard Kentucky football fan. I just am. That's just my, that's just the way I am. So I'm a little bit skewed. It is embarrassing to me. I think it's a little frustrating to me as a season ticket holder when I'm sitting in a foreign country. I can't even go to the games, but they're basically giving dollar tickets away to people, and you can't even get them to fill the stand. So that's a little frustrating to me. But
it's unheard of in SEC football.
Yeah, right. But do I hope we can get to that level? Yeah. But when we play Kent State, the third game of the season.
We got a better one against Eastern Illinois. Just wait a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. What do we expect then? I mean, no, we may not ever get to that level. But I think we can get to a point. We should get to a point where we have 50, 55 every game, but I don't know that we will.
All right, so let's go on to their schedule then. Today, Phil Steele released that. Now, granted, take anything Phil Steele says with a grain of salt. But he has Kentucky coming in at number 64 from the schedule. Combined record for our opponents in 2019, he had 81-72. Just real quick, gloss over the schedule. We start out the season at Eastern Michigan, head down to Gainesville. Then we have Kent State, Carolina. Go down to the Plains, Eastern Illinois, Vandy, at Mizzou, in Knoxville, Mississippi State, Georgia, and up the road in Louisville. Damien, I'll let you start. Just first glance, what's your thoughts on that schedule?
It's a two-edged sword, honestly. I mean, I know the SEC is the SEC that has a reputation. 64th in that conference. I mean, you take the conference schedule. Obviously, the out-of-conference is extremely weak, but it almost guarantees them a bowl game. So, that's, I mean, do you want to play the SEC conference schedule and then play have one cupcake, Louisville, and two Power 5 schools and possibly go 5-7, 5-8, or 5-7, not go to a bowl game?
Right. I think, Dad, you tell me what you think. I feel like when Kentucky makes their schedule, they account for 4 wins off the bat. So your 4 wins are going to be Eastern Michigan, the Kent State, Eastern Illinois, then Vanderbilt. And then from there, they look at probably more than likely could beat Louisville. It's a toss-up, but, Louisville's 5, and then what, you hope for a steal at Mizzou, USC, or recently. Is that how you think they look at schedule and are making that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the bottom line is we're going to continue this action for a long time, with the Eastern Michigans and the Kent States and all that stuff. And Damien is right. It's a double-edged sword. If you're looking at the schedule, you take away the Southeastern Conference schedule, it's very putrid. I think, in my personal opinion, if Coach Stoops stays and we continue on the trajectory we are now, about 3 years down the road, I wouldn't mind seeing 2 or 3 years down the road. I wouldn't mind seeing taking out the Eastern Illinois, maybe put in a West Virginia, or put in I don't know, maybe put Indiana back in, or Purdue, somebody like that, where we're throwing another Power 5 conference in there to kind of give us a little bit more oomph. And like we talked about in basketball, it's only going to help recruiting. Because we're recruiting against Purdue, we're recruiting against West Virginia, so I think it would only help. But I think right now we're, unfortunately, it's probably where we need to be with our scheduling to help continue to build. I think going to those bowl games has grown our program exponentially. Just by getting to go to them.
Ty, I'll let you comment on this. I feel like Kentucky's missing. And like I said, you can't just say these things and they happen. I get that. But in a best case scenario, I feel like Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, I feel like those schools are missing a golden opportunity, because when you look at a non-conference schedule, you're playing Eastern Michigan and Kent State, who both finished, I believe, 6-7, 7-6, respectively, in the MAC. Those are 2 – so you look at that, they're decent mid-major schools. But Kansas is not good. North Carolina is not great. Duke's not great traditionally. I feel like if you had a non-conference schedule that featured – they're ACC and Big 12 guys. Even though they're not premier, they're still a bigger name. I feel like name sells. I feel like name goes a lot longer. I'd rather play a big name that's bad, Kansas, than a stacked Central Michigan team. Ty, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you absolutely, Braxton. I'd like to see that happen too. Even if we would have to lose a team out of the SEC West, I mean, I would even, I would trade that for play at Kansas, play at Duke, play at North Carolina, absolutely. Because I think that for one, that would be a big audience for sure, and it'd definitely be something to see. But I don't know if we'll ever see that, honestly.
What do y'all think about that? Why not? Why are you shaking your head?
Because I think it once again ties us to being a basketball school, because you wouldn't have mentioned those names if not for basketball.
Oh, I'd rather be tied to a basketball school playing Kansas in a Big 12 SEC home and home than playing Eastern Illinois 111 at a 12 p.m. kickoff.
Kansas, literally, before Les Miles got there, was the worst program in the nation.
I also said that.
I understand, but I'm just saying.
So you'd rather play Eastern Illinois than Kansas? If they said, Chris, you're making the schedule, you want to play Kansas, you're going to play Eastern Illinois in football, who are you picking?
I would have to look at some stuff.
Oh, well, who are you picking?
I mean, now with Les Miles, I would probably pick Kansas.
Chris, you want to play Eastern Michigan, or you want a game against Duke, 7 p.m., ACC, SEC action? Which one are you picking?
Duke. Now, Duke out of the group.
North Carolina. You want to play Kent State, or you want a big game against North Carolina?
You gonna let me finish?
Go ahead.
I'm just saying. The only reason we're saying Duke, North Carolina, and Kansas is because of basketball, and I don't want to.
Okay, so let's erase that.
We are a basketball school.
We are a basketball school. You can't erase that. You just said Kentucky's not going to ever be on the Auburn-Alabama level, so that's some level of acceptance of what we are and who we are. So okay, let's take away the basketball school. Let's throw someone else. Let's see. What if we played a USC? Southern Cal.
Down for that.
Okay. So just because they're not a basketball school, they're still a decent big name school?
Here's what I'm saying. Would maybe a Kansas or North Carolina be a better game than Eastern Illinois, Eastern Michigan, Kent State? Yes. I'm just saying I find it frustrating that everybody just immediately goes to that because of basketball.
It's still a better non-conference schedule.
North Carolina is now.
Eastern Illinois is in the OVC. They're FCS.
Yeah, you keep using it. They're horrible. I get it.
I'm using them because they're on the schedule.
They're guaranteed wins.
But I'm in the camp of if you want to go all in on Kentucky football and you want Kentucky football to get respect and us not be a basketball school, at what point do you say, I don't care about the guaranteed wins? Give me the SEC East, give me the SEC West, and you know what? Throw West Virginia, Texas Tech, and whoever else on the schedule. Let's beat them, bust them in the mouth, and go to the next step.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Beating Kent State or beating Kansas, neither one of those moves the needle.
Okay, well, I didn't just use Kansas as my example. I used a new example. When are we going to accept the fact that we need to play some bigger schools to get the respect, or are we still worried about getting to our 6-win mark?
No, if you would have listened about 15 minutes ago, I told you about 3 years down the road, we should be at a point where we're playing West Virginia and teams like that.
Chris, the schedule's set 3 years down the road. You want to hear they're on a non-conference schedule in 3 years?
I know it's bad because we already out to
Let's hear it. Some people who listen probably haven't heard it. Let's hear it.
Okay, we've got Akron, we've got Youngstown State, we've got Murray State in 3 years. That moves the needle.
Yep.
No, it doesn't. But I'm just saying neither does if we beat like I said, a Kansas team that had one game in the last 6 years, that doesn't move the needle either.
It gives us better TV time, more exposure for recruiting, if anything.
Ain't nobody watching that game.
Are you serious? They'd be able to market that.
I mean, now with Les Miles, yes.
Then what we talking about 10 years ago, we're talking about right now. So why can we not use Les Miles as the head coach of Kansas? I mean, Les Miles is the coach, so why are we disputing Kansas right now? He is the coach.
He's not going to be the coach 5 years from now.
How do you know? Where's he going?
Where's he going?
He'll go somewhere.
Where? Kentucky?
Just mark my No, just mark my. I'm just saying. Look, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think they're making the assumption that, hey, we need to continue to build this program. We need to get to 6 wins. I can also foresee a time down the road, and it may be, I said 3. I think that's just me personally. 3 years, I think they'd be ready. But I assume for scheduling processes, it had those packets have to be, and who knows? Maybe we'll find out this year that they buy them out and we schedule somebody else. I mean, it can happen. It happened when we were supposed to play Eastern Michigan this year, or was it last year? And you
at Eastern Michigan.
Yeah. So, I mean, it can happen. I'm not going to disagree with you that maybe playing a Power 5 school, like I said, I keep bringing up West Virginia. I think that'd be a great rivalry, especially with Neil Brown currently there. It's a border state. I think that'd be a great rivalry to start. I think they should.
Bad team to lose to, Neil Brown.
Huh?
You're a bad team to lose to.
It may be, but I mean, I'd rather, in one sense, you're sitting there talking about making a better schedule. Now you don't want to lose to Neil Brown.
No, I was just making an observation. That would be a bad loss to Neil Brown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with Neil Brown. That would put some pressure on Coach Stoops. Yeah, obviously.
So, Chris, I mean, I get it. I've read your bio. I know you're diehard UK football.
Yeah.
I get it. 100%. You are. But I'm also a UK basketball fan and a fan of UK in general. We're a basketball school. It's okay. But you cannot complain about Rupp Arena's schedule at home and then be totally okay with UK football bringing in directional schools every year.
Here's
About the season not being filled.
yeah, but here's the thing. Rupp Arena gets twice the amount of games too.
Okay.
We're locked in. We're locked into was it 6 or 7 from the SEC? Locked in. We have to play Mississippi State because that's our West opponent. So we only got 4 games that we got to play with. When
right.
Cal's got probably 15 or 20 games to play with.
All right. So in this upcoming conference schedule, for the SEC in general, UK's preseason schedule is ranked 64.
Yeah, but
hold on. Let me make my point, please. South Carolina, you think we're comparable to them?
Mm-hmm.
They're number 1 in the nation strength of schedule upcoming year.
Just about every year they are.
Number 2, Arkansas in the nation. Number 3, Ole Miss. If we're not comparable to those schools, then what are we doing?
Yeah, but how many? Okay, and think about when they're playing these games. Those schedules might have been made 8 years, 9 years ago when Steve Spurrier was the coach of South Carolina, or when he.
You think they thought they were going to have Steve Spurrier for 15 years? No.
But I'm just telling you, I've given you historical documentation why we schedule out so far. You had 2025. We're playing whoever. I'm
not asking Kentucky to be the number 1 strength of schedule, but go from 1 to 64 between us and South Carolina. Let's at least be in the conversation of the top 20.
First of all, there's no sense even talking about strength of schedule until after the year's over.
Okay, I mean, and
we don't have nothing to talk about on the show if we do that.
I know. I'm just saying, like
this whole segment wasted.
So okay, Chris. I mean, I know we kind of harped on the UK student section.
Yeah.
Football game.
Yeah.
2 years ago, UK had their best season. 10 wins. Super successful year. Do you totally agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Out of 14 teams in the conference, UK was 12th in attendance. That's not all on the students.
No, I agree that fans don't show up. Also, you got to look at seating capacity. We're one of the smallest stadiums.
Was that percentage or is that total number?
I'm talking total number. I do believe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that has something to do with it.
They had one sellout in their best football season in the history of basically of our lifetime. They had one sellout. Can you guess who it was against?
Probably Florida.
That was that year. We played at Florida when we were.
No, that was the year. That was at Florida. Yeah, that was when we beat them in there. You're right.
So who was it against?
Was it Georgia?
Yeah, Georgia was playing for the championship, SEC championship.
Yeah, that was the year of Georgia. Yeah, you're right. But my point is, I mean, we've got to make better schedules, or do we just settle to make a bowl game every year and be content with it?
No, listen, gentlemen. I'm on board with making better schedules, but I also don't want to make. We also can't get to a point where we're scheduling Oklahoma or somebody like that. You know, like I said, I'd like to see a Purdue. I'd like to see a West Virginia. Teams like that, I think would bolster it a lot.
Purdue.
I mean, because that's a Big Ten
comparable.
School.
He wants to play a Big Ten team that they can compete with.
I mean, if we want to do that, we play Michigan. But I'm just saying, like, but I agree with you. These teams aren't going to move the needle. But we can also all agree that it doesn't take a team like Eastern Michigan can beat somebody. It can beat we saw Appalachian State beat who did Appalachian State beat? Michigan? Was it Michigan?
About 12 years ago.
2006, 7.
No, I'm just saying.
On a field goal.
I mean, every year
Rodriguez.
Yeah. Every MAC school is beating somebody that they shouldn't have beat.
So we just go out on schedule 2, just.
So we're just throwing them a bone, hoping we're not like the next one.
I just think that We need to continue where we're at right now.
And then don't complain about the attendance then.
What do you mean?
Nobody wants to spend money to go over there and watch them play a bunch of directional schools. I'm not going to go to watch them play Morehead State.
Well, when's the last time you went to a football game?
I went to the Big House. I mean, what kind of football game are you talking about?
I'm just saying though that then I agree. You know, some of the draws aren't great, but you're looking at once a week playing somebody like that. Not like basketball where they have a Tuesday, Thursday where you're playing Eastern Michigan and then somebody crazy. Like, and also football is more as an experience than it is just that. Like, especially for me, you know, I'm doing the tailgating. My wife's up cooking all night, prepping, stuff like that. It's a whole outing for me.
How would you feel? You're a season ticket holder. How would you feel? Let's say we keep Kent State, we keep Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
How would you feel about like that first game of the year? We went up to like Lucas Oil Stadium and played Indiana, neutral site to start the year. Would you be for that, a game like that?
What was that again? I'm sorry.
So we keep Kent State, keep Eastern Illinois. Say you scratch Eastern Michigan, you schedule a game with like Indiana and play where the Colts play. How would you feel about that?
I think that'd be great.
I'd love it.
I'm on board with gentlemen. I don't disagree that we're a little weak on our out-of-conference schedule. I don't think we need to go crazy, but I think we need to add maybe another Power 5 or 2 into our conference, our schedule. I don't disagree with you, but you also can't sit there and fuss. I mean, you know, we sit there. I guess it's the same. Basketball is scheduled horribly out of conference. So we we basically play the same schools. You take away the 6 games, Damien, that Cal plays, like the Kansas, the rest of them is trash.
For basketball?
Out of conference?
So
I said that besides the 6 games that we talked about earlier.
that's pretty much our out-of-conference schedule. We'll add a couple more.
They have 10 out-of-conference games? And 6 of them are great, and you're complaining about it?
We literally played Evansville and got beat.
So they threw a bone to Walter McCarty. That's terrible.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
But you're going to complain about Evansville, but you are 100% on board with bringing in Tubby Smith's team, Billy Gillespie's team, and Tubby's team. That's 3.
How do you feel, Dad? How do you feel whenever a school like Creighton or a Gonzaga type, how do you feel when they go through a basketball season for a tournament and they only have 2 losses because they haven't played anyone? Does that frustrate you?
Yeah.
So would you think like a 1-loss Gonzaga school with that record, you would probably argue that Kentucky school with our schedule, you know, playing the good teams SEC, playing the Louisville, Kansas, with a 4-loss SEC or a Kentucky team, you'd probably take Kentucky team over the 1-loss Gonzaga, right?
I mean, and I think the NCAA selection committee bears that out 90% of the time.
Okay, so let's just talk. This is before March Madness. So let's go over to football. Would you take a 10-2? Now, in this situation, let's pretend South Carolina and Kentucky don't play each other in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Would you take a 10-2 Kentucky team with the 64th strength of schedule, or an 8-4 South Carolina team with the number 1 strength of schedule?
Depends who they lost to. You don't know who they lose to.
This is a general. I mean,
listen, I'm not going. Once again, okay? Can we pull up South Carolina? Let's pull up South Carolina's schedule. I'll pull it up.
You know what gets me is, you know, like the teams like Wichita State. You know, like who are they playing regular season? You know, and Gonzaga. You put Gonzaga in the SEC. I mean, they're going to lose. I mean, I wouldn't say once a week. When we start playing twice a week, but they're going to lose some games, man. I mean, them at LSU's, you know, obviously this year, at Georgia, you know, at Florida, at Tennessee, you know, that's tough competition, man. I mean, even if they're down that year, that is tough environment to come in and win.
Yeah, I think that's my point with football. I'm all for Kentucky getting 10 wins in a football season at what cost when we're playing Eastern Illinois.
Okay. I'm going to bring you up. South Carolina. They're number 1, right? And there's only one reason why they're number 1.
Play Bama.
What's that?
They play Bama or LSU?
LSU, and then Clemson. Here's
us, Kentucky.
That's right, Ty. You take away Clemson, which is their Louisville for us, right? Which is their Louisville. Here's who they got: Coastal Carolina, East Carolina, and the mighty Terrapins from, or whatever they're called, from Wofford.
East Carolina is better than any of the 3 schools we're playing.
Is that Skip Holt or whatever? Is he still there?
I don't know who the head coach is, but Eastern Carolina is better than Eastern Michigan and I take Wofford. Eastern Illinois was 1-11. Eastern Illinois was 1-11 with 1 win against Tennessee State. Wofford is actually a decent SoCon school. He has a high-tempo offense.
No, you keep throwing out Eastern Illinois. They're horrible. I don't know why we scheduled them.
You just threw out South Carolina's bad non-conference. I'm just comparing them to ours.
Okay, let's look at that Kentucky schedule. How many games do you see for sure Chris wins?
Oh, we're going to talk about wins now? I got it broken down into my best case scenario and worst case scenario.
Obviously, I want to hear your best. I don't want to hear about your worst.
And by the way, East Carolina was horrible last year. So
okay,
East Carolina, they couldn't beat us 4.
Okay, so here's my initial gut feeling without even thinking about it. I've got Kentucky going 9-3.
9-3.
Yep.
May I hear your losses?
Yep. Auburn, Tennessee, and Georgia. Now,
9-3.
My worst case scenario was 7-5.
7-5.
The losses to Florida, Auburn, Missouri, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Well, I hope your best scenario is right. Braxton, let me hear yours. Wins and losses there.
You might have 1-10.
Why is Braxton on that job?
I think we lose. Okay, I want to make everything clear. I'm obviously a huge Kentucky fan.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of our non-conference, but I pay money. I donate. So I think we beat Eastern Michigan. We beat Eastern Illinois, beat Kent State. We're going to beat Vandy. We're going to beat Louisville. We're going to lose to Georgia. Beat Mississippi State. Mizzou, I never liked that game. I think you're looking at 3 to 4 losses. I think that could be any combination of Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, Mizzou. I think those are the 5 teams that can beat you, and I think you end up dropping 3 or 4 of those, pull one out.
You know, what worries me is there's possible there around like October 24th, which is a Missouri game, that we lose the next 4 in a row. You know, Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi State, Georgia.
We could lose Louisville too.
Yeah, could be 5. But it's not.
It could be.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, Chris, that's a worst case scenario.
I mean, we could lose all of them, except
we
that
could.
Illinois.
We can lose all of them.
We're not going to lose 4 of them. I promise you, we'll beat them 4. But you know, I got us winning 8 games and losing to Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Georgia.
Who else?
Oh, I got us losing to Missouri too.
So you have them winning at Auburn?
No, not Auburn. No.
So there's 5 losses. We're getting them back up here.
7-5.
Damon, what do you got them? 4-7, 4-8.
No, I mean, I always start off 6-6 with a game of flux either way.
Are you kidding me? Let me hear your losses then.
Georgia.
Where's one?
Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi State or Missouri. One of the 2. Don't act like we haven't laid an egg every season. I mean, it happens. We win a game that we probably shouldn't, but we also lose a game that, you know, we shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying 7-5 is not probably more realistic, but 6-6 wouldn't surprise me. We don't know that Trey Wilson's coming back 100% healthy. We don't know if we've got a wide receiver that can catch a ball.
So, Damien, if you were Vegas, would you put the over-under at 5.5 or 6.5?
With our week schedule, I would say 6.5.
Would you bet over or under on 6.5, Dad? Money, big money.
He thinks we're going to win 10 games. Of course, he's taking the over.
No, here we go. Look,
They're going to put the line at 7.
You'd have to bet the under and hope that it pushes, right?
I'd mortgage the house on over.
Over
Is that
7?
including the bowl game?
Huh?
That's including the bowl game or not just regular season?
Oh, regular season.
Mortgage the house over 7.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I honestly, like we talked about this before on one of our previous shows, I could see us beating Florida, Auburn, and then losing to Missouri or something. Like, here's what I'm going to say. I think this season, too, is going to be weird. It's going to be hard to handicap any of these games because we don't really know when the season's going to start. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, if we're starting September 5th, they're able to practice and do all that stuff, and I'm still assuming Terry comes back healthy. I think, man, I tell you, our defense is probably going to be top half, top 5 in the SEC. I mean, we're going to be.
Here's the thing too, Chris. Like, okay, say we finish, like Damien said, 6-6 there. Like, are we blaming that on, like, is that COVID-19 issues? Is us? I mean, what are we blaming that on?
If we go 6-6, the wheels have fallen off. Meaning Terry got hurt again, and
He's a bust.
Yeah,
he can play.
then Gatewood couldn't play. That's the only way I see is going 6-6. I mean, obviously, I'm in the minority, and that's fine.
Right.
So what happens if they don't have any health issues? Everything goes fine, and they go 6-6.
I'm not going to be happy. I'm not. I think it's there's got to be some questions asked, but obviously if I think all coaches this year will get a pass though. I mean, they haven't been able to have their programs running optimally at all right now. I mean, the only person I've seen in the and I'm sure there's some more, but like Terry's the only person that's done anything at the facilities. Majority of those kids are home, so I think 6-6 questions can be asked. I mean, everybody's having to go through it, but I think every coach and every school is going to get a pass this year.
But don't you think UK's in a better situation playing the weaker schedule?
Weaker schedule relative to who?
The rest of most of the conference.
I mean, yeah, maybe. But I don't think you're not going to – I mean, we are all going to hear and say we're not going to base it off the out-of-conference schedule. It's not going to have anything to do with it. It's going to how they do in the SEC.
Exactly.
All right, Damien, some parting shots. We'll start with you. Go ahead and close us out with what you got.
Did you say me?
Damien.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Chris. I'm sorry. No, I mean, this has been a blast, guys. I enjoy this thoroughly. It's been a great escape from the COVID, the craziness that the world we're living in. I just want to tell you guys I appreciate every one of you. It's very entertaining, having a blast doing this. Obviously, I see football differently than you guys do, which is totally cool. All 4 of us love UK basketball. 2 of us cheer for the right baseball team. 2 of us don't. That's cool. Redlegs. But just want to give you a shout out, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to do this every 2 or 3 nights a week.
Ty, you got anything for us?
Heck no, man. I'm enjoying it. I like hearing about daily topics. Can't wait to discuss some new ones as the year goes on. Hopefully we get some sports back on to watch and talk about.
Go ahead, Elder.
Yeah, I appreciate it, as Elder Stacy's like. I want to talk, Damien, I agree with you, man. This has been great. Getting to talk to you guys about topics in UK athletics and around the world. And for all you listeners out there, hey, please keep sharing. We need all the help we can get. And bottom line is we're not looking to get famous. We're just having a good time. And any feedback you have, constructive, please let us know. Hey, one thing I do want to bring up, I am concerned about in the UK football program, as a parting shot is, and I think we're starting to recruit that way. Man, we got to get some wide receivers on our team, and we got to be able to throw the ball. So hopefully we'll be able to do that this year. Other than that, go Cats.
Yeah, when you're producing guys to the NFL like Ahmad Wagner, you gotta reload. Closing out, I think B.J. Boston and Terrence Clark, hopefully they have a good support cast with them. They're gonna have big years. Look to see how Kentucky finishes out their schedule in basketball. Hopefully that Michigan game comes through, and we can all pray Kentucky gets 8 wins, 9 in a bowl. This has been episode 5 of Basement Sports Talk. Come at you on Wednesday, and we'll have a new one for you on Friday. Good night.